Hello everybody, and this is going to be my video on artifacts. Welcome back. Quickly I just want to say, if I offended anybody with my last video, didn't mean to. Meh. Straight onto this video. So, I talked about last time how I'm making artifacts. I'm sorry if the lighting out here is bad, I'm trying to record not here. Don't know how often I'll be able to do it, but doesn't hurt to try something new, right? So, artifacts. Those of you who've been living under a rock or don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot, artifacts are a deck coming out in Primal Origin. They're the only new archetype in Primal Origin. Every other deck is either just getting support, or it's just every other card in there is just either support for a different deck, or is a random card. Like, it's just like, this does this. What deck can you play it in? But yeah, Artifact is a very interesting archetype. The reason I first wanted to make the deck is because it's essentially a deck of level 5 Silver Sentinels. And for those of you who don't know what Silver Sentinel does, it's a level 4 Earth Warrior, I believe, which you set in the spell and trap card zone from your hand, and then if it's destroyed, during the end phase you can target one face-up monster, I believe, or one card, I'm not sure about that, summon back Silver Sentinel and destroy that card or face-up monster. It's a pretty gimmicky card, but it's always just been a nice gimmicky card. It's a funny one that if I see it using, I like watching it. Artifacts are basically the same thing, except while Silver Sentinel comes back in the end phase, and you have to get an effect to destroy a monster, so if they have no cards to destroy, it can't come back. Artifacts, they all share common effects, well, the monsters do. All the artifacts, no matter what their secondary effect is, or tertiary, depending on how you look at it. The primary effect is you can set this card from your hand to the spell and trap card zone as a spell card. That's important, as a spell card. That means that if it gets MST'd and Dimensional Fissure is on the field, it still goes to the graveyard, because it's not a monster, it's a spell. So, watch out for that one. Dimensional Fissure can be used in this deck. It's nice. But when it's destroyed in the spell and trap card zone during your opponent's turn, only during your opponent's turn, so the opponent of the controller of the artifact card, it special summons itself. Then some of them, not all of them, some of them have effects when they're special summoned during the opponent's turn. The main one which everybody is getting really hyped about is Artifact Moraltech. Moraltech's how I say it, don't know how to say it. I'm probably going to have a picture of it here, now, read it. Blue sword, looks very, very nice. But if you look at it, it's a fairy level 5 light, which all of them are. All of them are level 5 fairy lights. This has the third highest attack at 2100. I believe there's 2 with 2300 at the moment, which would be Artifact Scythe and Artifact Artifact Libris. Artifact Libris the shield. There's quite a few defensive ones. There were two of the artifacts level 5s which destroy, which is Moraltech, which pops a face-up card on the opponent's side of the field. This can be monsters, face-up continuous spells, traps, face-up field spells even. And there's one, which Begeltech, which, when it's special summoned during your opponent's turn, destroy 2 back row of your own. Now first I might be saying, whoa, why would you destroy your own back row? You can special summon Begeltech, pop 2 artifacts, have those come back as monsters. It's very good for combos, and I think it's actually the main card of the deck. Like, I don't think artifacts would be nearly as good without Begeltech. You can only use the effect of Begeltech once per turn, which is definitely balanced, because before it was, if you had Artifact Movement and Begeltech, and you could pop another 3 back row. It was like you go Artifact Movement, Artifact Ignition. You'd go Ignition, Begeltech, destroy Begeltech, set another Begeltech, summon Begeltech from the grave because you destroyed it with movement, Ignition. Begeltech effect, pop Begeltech, and then summon it back and then pop one, pop a days, and it was pretty stupid until I added that once per turn clause. There are quite a few defensive options. They have Achilles shield, formerly known as Achilles, but they now have Achilles shield. When it's special summon during your opponent's turn, they cannot attack any artifact monsters for the rest of this turn, which I think is really good. They also have Artifact Aegis, which is kind of like in conjunction with Achilles shield. And during the turn this is special summoned, they cannot be artifact monsters you currently cannot control cannot be destroyed by card effects. If you're starting to notice a pattern, you should be, because they so far have destructive cards and really defensive cards. They have a really good mix of both offense and defense. And there's one card, Artifact Failnaught, which is another monster, which gives them slight recycling power as well. Failnaught, when it's special summoned during your opponent's turn, you can take one of your artifacts that is in the graveyard and set it. Artifact monsters, not spells or traps, only artifact monsters. Funny thing you can do with this, there's an Artifact Ixies. You can set the Artifact Ixies to your spell and trap card zone. Don't know why you'd ever want to do it, because that doesn't come back if you destroy it during the spell and trap card zone, but you can have an Ixies in your spell and trap card zone now. But yeah, summon Failnaught, bring back one. It's pretty good. I quite like it. Then there was one which says has the same effect as the others when it's set it, when it's destroyed, summon it. But Labris, which is a purple shield, Labris is a 2300 beat stick, and he says when an artifact card you control is destroyed, you can special summon this card from your hand. That's its exact wording. When an artifact card you control is destroyed, you can special summon this card. Doesn't have to be during your opponent's turn. Doesn't have to be a monster. Very interesting stuff. You can pop monsters and then summon Labris, summon the monster you popped. Ultimate puzzles, right? Right? Or do you do the ignition / movement double cyclone combo? Activate movement, pop their card, then set whatever. Chain double cyclone, because when you chain double cyclone, you can pop the card that you activated before it and another one of their cards. Interesting. Let's you summon Labris using 2 cards. You then get to set a card, so you only really go -1 from using double cyclone, if that's really -1. You go -1 cards, they go -2, and you got a free special summon. That's pretty nice. I should probably talk about what Ignition does, shouldn't I? Artifact Ignition. MST plus effect, right? First part of its effect is basically MST. I'm not going to read that bit to you. After this card resolves, as this card resolves, you can set one artifact monster from your deck to your spell and trap card zone. Immediately better than MST because, it's MST and then it's got more stuff. But I'm also scared that people will be wanting this just so they can run basically 6 MST. It's very potent. It's a quick play spell. It's a very potent card. And I like it. It's a very interesting card. They also have a trap. They have another spell, but that one's bullshit. Like, the spell is basically select 2 Ixies monsters, select 2 artifact monsters, Ixies with them, and it's a quick play spell, and it's like, not really too good. Also, even the spells and traps have effects when they are destroyed. So if they MST them, you can chain it, and you'll get the primary effect plus the destruction effect. So the Ignition's destruction effect is when it's destroyed, your opponent skips their next battle phase. Has to be destroyed by their card effect, you cannot destroy this yourself. So if you MST it, then you're stupid really, because unless you can chain movements, you can activate 2 movements and chain them to each other, so you're just basically deck thinning, but it kind of defeats the purpose in some points. Philosophy of the Artifacts, or Artifact Sanctum. Trap card. Special summon 1 artifact monster from your deck. You cannot conduct your battle phase until you activate this card. You can only activate 1 Philosophy of the Artifacts. Artifact Sanctum this turn. Sorry. That's really good. You're not going to be playing this in your turn, so that effect where You can't use your battle phase. Doesn't matter. When this card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, destroy one card in the field. This card's ridiculous. And I'm just glad that Artifact Ignition and Artifact Sanctum are both ultra rares. Because if they were rares like they are in Japan, we would not be having a good time. There'd be artifact decks everywhere. Oh, I'm sorry. There's one last artifact monster I've forgotten. Artifact Caduceus. When you special summon an artifact monster during your opponent's turn, and this card's face up on the field, draw a card. You can only control one Caduceus. Welcome to Draw Power City. This card. This card. So already, this deck's already amazing. And I haven't even told you any of the cards that synergize well with this deck yet. What synergizes with this deck well? Well, it's like fairies. You have Honest. That should have been obvious. You can also run Crystal in this deck. Personally don't. I don't like how it is. Basically stops my entire thing while they can just... I don't like it. I just don't like Crystal as a card. Especially in a deck that basically you can't do anything except special summon. Well, you can normal summon, but... What? Why? Because you do run level 3s in this deck. Well, you run Absorbing Jaw, and you run Card D, because Card D, you don't summon a lot during your turn. You really don't summon a lot during your turn. You'll basically be setting and hoping they destroy it, or hoping you've got some destruction of your own. So, what happens with Absorbing Jaw? What is Absorbing Jaw? When this card is flipped up, destroy all set spell and trap cards on the field, then the controller of the cards destroyed draws one card for each. Basically, what this means is, when it's flipped up, destroy all set spell and trap cards on the field. Well, this lightning's really bad, I'm sorry. And then, each player draws for the amount of cards they lost. So if I lost 3 cards because of the Absorbing Jaw's effect, I would draw 3 cards. If I got rid of 5 cards, I'd draw 5 cards. Best case scenario, let me tell you this. You have 4 artifact monsters in your opening hand. You have Absorbing Jaw. You have 4 artifact monsters, or 5. 4 or 5. Basically, you need the last card, which can be set. Set as a spell trap. This spell trap will go to waste, but it will give you a lot of advantage. In fact, you don't really need to play this, but I liked it. You set 4 artifact monsters, including Caduceus. They attack into Absorbing Jaw. You destroy 5 back row. You summon Caduceus back first, you then summon 3 back. 3 more artifacts. Absorbing Jaw effect activates, you draw 5 cards. Caduceus effect activates, since 3 were summoned while it was on the field during your opponent's turn, you draw another 3 cards. That's 8 cards in hand. That's quite a bit of advantage. And then you get the other 3 artifact monsters effects. Say if it's Moraltech, you get a popular monster that attacks. This is ridiculous. And if anybody gets this off, it's ridiculous. You also run Gen X Ally Birdman, because bounce back an artifact monster for more pluses later, because you can just set it again. Brilliant. Also allows you into Beals. Beals is ridiculous, because you go Pleiades, because level 5 lights, you can make Pleiades. You go Pleiades, Beals, and Artifact Durandal. Artifact Durandal is the Ixies. Once per turn, you can detach one and then activate one of the following effects. Effect 1. Shuffle. Both players shuffle back their entire hand and draw back the same number of cards. So you use that when they have, like, they've just activated Tenki to get their Yamato. Ha! Shuffle the Yamato back, bitch. And then when the effect is activated, this is the second effect. When the effect is activated, right, wasp. It's a fly, not a wasp. When the effect is activated, change that. When a normal spell or trap card is activated, or a monster's effect on the field, change that effect to destroy one spell or trap card your opponent controls. Get Durandal out, set 5 back row. Wait for them to activate effect. They use effect. Pop back row, summon Moraltech because they popped Moraltech. Destroy their card. Have fun. my neighbours join us. Possible. But this is ridiculous, guys. Just some of the combos these cards can get up to. It's beautiful. but the thing about artifacts is they have two main weaknesses, you might think. Well, they need the graveyards ridiculously. They do. These cards generate card advantage and board presence like you've never believed. You cannot run spells and traps cards with these cards because they will just destroy them. Artifact movement, MST. So, I'm going to call it artifact movement because that's what I know it as. They will just get rid of your back row. They will get rid of your face-up cards. What can you do against this deck? Well, they need a graveyard. Obvious choices: either make stuff that banishes it, or go into Abyss Dweller. Pretty solid choices, right? Right? I mean, you've not told us anything to get rid of those. Right, well, that was until the Snake Creek promo was released. Artifact Scythe. When this card is special summoned during your opponent's turn, your opponent cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn. Ouch. That's Abyss Dweller gone, but I can always just, you know, banish them. Duelist Advent. Artifact Longinus, I believe. Artifact Longinus. You contribute this card from your hand or field. Cards cannot be banished this turn. Well, that's nice. This card doesn't have to be sent to the graveyard. It says tribute. So if Macrocosmos is on the field, this card still works. You just have to send this card, banish it, let's go. But if you can chain this DD Crow, okay, then I'll tribute my Longinus, summon Feanort, set my Longinus, summon Longinus. Gonna try and DD Crow me again? I'll just Longinus. It's pretty ridiculous. So, what can you do against this deck? Not much. Not much. You just have to hope they get bad draws. Or you can just simply go off harder than them. Special summon more than they can. Or clog up their board. Very good. But then they can go into rank 5s. Rank 5 is deadly. They have OTK in... If they start their turn with 4 artifacts, that was a nice rainfall. That was rain. If they start their boards with 4 artifacts, there's 2 different ways they can OTK you, depending on if you have a monster or not. If you can go into Volcasaurus and Shark Fortress, then Volcasaurus effect, you know, that jazz, Sky Dragon, etc. Or they can just go into 2 Shark Fortress. Pew, pew, pew. You know? Pew, 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 technically. 4 attacks. I like these guys. What do I think needs to be hit? I think they need to take out... I think they need to either limit Beageltech or semi-limit Moraltech. Possibly hit the spells and traps too. I like it. Once I actually get my Primal Origins deck going, once I get my artifact deck going, I will do a deck profile on it. If you guys want, I can also do a deck profile on what my YGO Pro build is. But apart from that, there's not more else I can say. Artifacts, they're ridiculously good at draw power. That's their main gimmick, really. A lot of people say, oh, it's the whole destroy cards. No. They generate more hand advantage. And because of that, they can destroy more cards. Etc. For example, Star Drawing can be run in this deck. When an Xyz summon is conducted using this card, draw a card. Hand advantage. Caduceus, hand advantage. Just see where I'm coming from here. Absorbing Jar, hand advantage. Jinx Ally Birdman, I would say, is hand advantage. Well, field advantage. Artifact movement, field advantage. Philosophy of the Artifacts, or Artifact Sanctum, is always a +1. It's always a +1, no matter what. If they end phase space type through this, you can't activate the effect. Well, they've used MST, and you get to destroy one of them. And I also get to destroy one of their cards. Nice. They've just lost 2 for me losing 1. Someone won. Then that card generates advantage. It's always a +1. Anyway guys, it's starting to rain a bit now. It's getting a bit late. Video's went on for a while. I think my neighbours want me out the yard. I mean, their yard and not mine. So, hope you've enjoyed the video. I tried to step up my game this time. I'm using a better recording camera. Don't know what quality this is. Hopefully it's at least 720p. Might only be 480. We'll see in post-editing. I'm also going to be editing this one, as you saw. Hope that made it a bit more enjoyable for you guys. Hope it wasn't too long. Thank you for watching. Get out.